planet in the solar system that is lurking beyond Pluto. 1 week later, it rejected all of its findings and never said another word about it. But 33 years later, in October 2016, Caltech researchers announced new evidence which suggests that a bizarre planet with highly elongated orbit exists in our solar system. What is up, guys? This is JT here at XIN, and as I said a minute ago, Caltech researchers announced the discovery of a huge planet in our solar system. In January of 2016, they reported a mysterious unseen planet that is 1. Very big, and 2. Orbits the Sun in a very weird manner. And this profoundly affects the whole solar system, even the Sun itself. 9 months later, another announcement was made at the meeting of the American Society of Astronomy in the Division of Planet Science. This once again made its way to the headlines on many major news outlets. Both discoveries agree on the fact that an unseen giant planet is in our solar system, or at least a binary solar system with our neighbor Nemesis, and it is stalking at the inner planets and at the same time making the Sun act in a very unpredictable manner. The author of this very new research is Elizabeth Bailey, and according to her words, not only is Planet X massive, its orbit is also tilted, and that it forced the whole star system to slowly follow it. Now, in case you don't know, the planets of the solar system orbit the Sun in a single plane, which is 6 degrees tilt. However, the Planet X orbits in a bizarre and elongated plane that is tilted by 30 degrees. As a result of this, the Sun and every known planet of the solar system are affected. First, let's talk about the Sun. A recent research showed that the sunspots have been increasing dramatically in frequencies and intensity in the past few decades. In fact, they are at the most active in 8,000 years. 8 millennia is a long time, folks, and this sudden rocketing in the sunspot is nowhere near normal. The long-term increase in solar irradiance is hitting the inner planets, including the Earth. There is no need to say this because global warming is occurring everywhere, and all of us can see it. Extreme heat wave, megastorm, ice cap melting, all of the phenomena so far attributed to man-made pollutions are actually caused by sun abnormally. Why do I say this? Well, because data from Mercury and Mars show that these two planets are also being heated up. This has been confirmed by the researchers at the Russian Astronomical Observatory of St. Petersburg. The Keck Observatory in Hawaii said that the outer planets of the solar system is also being affected by the irradiance from the Sun. Uranus, for example, is experiencing very active storm cloud formations. Other than that, we know that every year the amount of galactic dust entering our solar system increased by a staggering threefold. This makes perfect sense, because many leaks sources have confirmed that there is a cloud of gas and dust around the system of Planet X, and therefore it is completely reasonable that we have more galactic dust as Planet X approaches. Also, you might not know this, but 40,000 tons of cosmic debris fall onto the Earth on an annual basis. You might be asking yourself, if a whole freaking planetary system is coming for Earth, why do we not see it in the sky, and why cannot a major astronomer track its movements? Well, there are a lot of reasons. The first one is that Nibiru approaches from the direction of the South Pole on the elliptic. Therefore, unless you are far in the southern hemisphere, it is much more difficult to see the planets. Secondly, it is probably not close enough, and so it is only visible in certain light spectrum. NASA only discovered it in infrared, and that is why we can sometimes see it in video footage as a second red sun in the sky. Like I have said in many past videos, scientists have reported that this heavenly body, be it a system of planets in our binary solar system or a miniature solar system, Its center is made up of a lot of iron oxide, and that explains the red color it radiates when it is visible in the right spectrum. Last but not least, censorship people. I'm not talking about a national security mandate that forbids government agencies to address the issue, but a worldwide censorship agenda. This agenda is so massive that governments have been spraying mist into the atmosphere in order to blur or alter the light spectrum so that the public cannot see Planet X is coming. And therefore, we are all kept in the dark. Since NASA discovered it in 1983, Planet X must have traveled a great distance and is much closer to Earth now. Yet it is still pretty much a mystery, or should I say, a secret. As you can see, those in power cannot simply announce that a planet system is heading towards our planet and spell inevitable doom. They are in a position where even in 33 years of time, they can't find a good position to announce the inbound apocalypse. Announcing the incoming doom would mean losing control over societies and economies around the world. Civilizations as we know it would collapse even before Nibiru actually arrives. Wars and conflicts on many scales, from individual to national, would have broken out over scarce resources and the right to survive Judgment Day. And by the right to survive, I was alluding to all the elite secret preparation. If you have been following us, you would know that governments around the world are building secret shelters to prepare for something big, and these preparations far bypass the requirement to survive the nuclear war. From the US to Russia and China, underground cities, secret shelters, and ghost towns are being constructed in the most secure places and far away from the oceans. If the public really knows about it, the construction wouldn't even be feasible, let alone elites smoothly moving into the secret facilities when Nibiru is here. Oh, by the way, this is one of the cases where I think negligence is a blessing because, if death is coming and there's nothing we can do about it, might as well not know about it and enjoy life as we always do. Well, in a bit of comfort. Worrying and feeling desperate is tiring, guys. You won't like it. The final things I want to talk to you guys about today is how religions also agree with the coming of a giant heavenly body. You might think that it is not worth believing, but you should know that religions are built upon the accumulated knowledge of many people over the centuries, and they are valid in many senses. Now, I am not a theologian, and I don't know perfectly about many religions, and so today I would like to address only what I know best, and that is the words of Revelation. The sixth seal of the Revelations, and the wrath of God completely aligned with all the speculations and calculation about Planet X and its arrival. So the sixth seal mentions a world-ending scenario where there will be a great earthquake, the sun will become dark, the moon will turn to blood, and the star will fall from the sky. Now, if a large celestial body crosses by the earth, the possibility of the sun becoming dark is very likely. And even though this sounds weird, but today we know of this phenomenon as solar eclipse. Similarly, blood moon or lunar eclipse is also very likely to happen as Nibiru stands between the sun and the moon. Stars falling down from the heaven is also nothing weird because the system of Planet X, like every planetary and solar system, brings with it asteroids and space debris, which will fall down on Earth when they meet our gravitational field. Now last but not least, the earthquake. The famous astrophysicist Carlo Monteferrata, who precisely calculated many terrestrial disasters and cosmos activity, has predicted that when the heavenly body comes to Earth, its gravity will cause anomalies in the Earth's activities, leading to three enormous earthquakes, respectively in northern Mediterranean, southern Pacific, and the region of Java and Sumatra. All the supposedly coincidence and all the attempts to censor the stories in 1983 point to the conclusion that Planet X will soon knock on our back door, and we should be of millions of people. Of course, we have no visual proof because, this is centuries ago, guys, and cameras were not so popular and easy to use back then. If you guys have watched Wonder Woman, you would know that even in the time of World War II, 2 or 3 decades after the miracle of Fatima, cameras were still oversized and difficult to set up, and the miracle lasted only like 10 minutes or so. Then why should you believe this ever happened, you ask? Because we also have hundreds of thousands of testimonies. The one most worth mentioning is that of Pope Pius XII, who witnessed the events from as far as the gardens of Vatican. In fact, the event became somewhat a milestone for Christianity, and it changed many practices of the religions. Hence, this happening is credible. Here's what happened. At first, there was a torrential downpour. After that, the sun appears as a swirling disk, kind of like, the galaxy's photo that you often see. It seems to have headed towards the Earth. The grounds and the attendees, who were shocked by the downpour, became dry almost instantly as the sun radiates crimson red lines that seem to penetrate the clouds. The sun then seems to jump out of its fixed positions and dance around in a trajectory toward the Earth, and at the same time radiating multicolored light rays. There are people who deny of the event, claiming that the harsh sunlight on that day caused mental and visual illusions to people on site. But don't forget, the Pope saw it from Vatican, and also I don't think it is possible for 1 million people to have the same illusion during the same 10 minutes. And what's more amazing is that the sun has been flashing and blinking more often recently, and we now have actual recorded visual proof of the occurrence. Most worth mentioning here is an event in Nigeria on October 13th of 2017. Note the time. It was exactly 100 years after the miracle of Fatima. This time, it was observed by 50,000 people, and everything follows almost the exact same course. First, there was a downpour. Then, the sun blinked and changed its colors, and the people at the event were amazed. So amazed that many started to kind of worship what was happening right on the spot. And now we have here a video of what happened so you can see it by yourself. Next, I'll show you a video taken on the Earth in the areas of France in late 2016. It's a time-lapse video captured by an outdoor cameras of people who study weather up there, and it shows clearly the sun radiating multicolored light rays, just like how it did in 1970. Okay, so that was in France in October of 2016. Here's some more. This following one was taken one day after the event of Nigeria.
I thought I'd take a recording with my tablet, which gives me all these crazy lens flares. I think it's because it's HD, HDR or something like that. It's kind of weird day today. I don't know, I just got this really weird feeling. I've been having night terrors and sleep paralysis, and I think my narcolepsy is going to start kicking in again. This is what happens when I get stressed out. Whoa, you guys, did you see that flash? I'm not moving. What was that? Whoa. Whoa, did you see it again? It flashed. Is it because I'm moving? I don't think so. The trees have grown so much, I can't get a good view anymore of the sun. I don't know what that flashing was, but that was pretty freaky. It did it twice. Look at the beams from the sun.
I also have a footage here from a CCTV camera that was taken only 3 months ago. Next one, in December of 2017.
Simulator, and and there's a flashing again. But look, notice how there's like a bite out of the right side of the sun. Could that be something eclipsing it? Alright, zoom all the way out. Aha! It's flashing. Alright, someone had made a suggestion to check other devices at the same time. Hold on, I'm gonna check my other device. Alright, I'm back. I checked, I have a phone, but you know, it's not the most updated phone, so it doesn't show it flashing there, but I have seen it flashing in that camera, and I've had other people look at their camera phones at the same time when I was noticing the flashing, and they saw it flashing too. Most of the time, I don't know. So it's a theory, but I'm going to keep researching that. It's not flashing now, so that might be the reason. But see, it's weird how it will flash and then sometimes it won't, and it doesn't matter. Sometimes it happens that, you know, zoomed all the way out, and sometimes zoomed all the way in. It's like there's a certain point of the zoom where it flashes. And like I've said before, well, there it goes there. I was going to say, you'd think it would flash more the more it's zoomed in. But I've had it flashing while it's totally zoomed out, and then zoomed in, nothing. So I don't know. I'm going to keep researching that. But anyway, not much going on except for the weird shape of the sun. And I'm going to take a quick peek at the moon over here, see if we can see that.
What's interesting about this one footage is that the guys who recorded this did not really believe his eyes at first. And you can see the cuts in the video, where he actually switched to the recording device to make sure that it's not a technical error. So no matter if it's from a phone or camera, the phenomenon persisted, indicating that it's nowhere near an illusion or focus error. Here's another one. This one's blinking is not as aggressive, and the pace is also slower than the previous footage I just showed you, but it clearly is happening.
Just two rays shooting out the sides of the sun. That doesn't make any sense at all. And it feels like I'm under a magnifying glass. I feel like a bug being cooked. It's so strong. It's really hard to be out here. Ooh, it just got super bright. I didn't touch it. Wow. It's flashing. Oh my goodness. That's crazy. Is that under it? That cloud looks interesting. Like a face. Alright, the sun just shrunk.
That it can reawaken any second, and there is no sign to predict when it will do so. In fact, when it started erupting in May, it also came as quite a surprise. Yet, there are actually signs from all around the world indicating that not only Kilauea, but many volcanoes will erupt. And if only scientists would look at the bigger pictures and stop denying the inbound gravitational field of a celestial object, they would probably have noticed. What's up, guys? It's JT here at X Science, and yes, you have heard what I said in the beginning when you heard that right. Kilauea's eruption or any other volcanoes have had harbingers which would have been noticed from the side in the sky, not from under the Earth's crust. For those who are new to the subject, I'm referring to a planetary system consisting of a core planet 10 times more massive than the Earth, and 7 satellites as well as a debris field and numerous asteroids orbiting the core. The system is called Planet X, Nibiru, or sometimes Nemesis, and according to many leaked information as well as ancient researches and documents, the system is on a trajectory toward the Earth and will cause imminent apocalypse when it arrives. Well, actually before it arrives. Also, like I said, what we know is only from our own research and ancient document and leaked information, because the real existence and cause of the planet is hidden from the public at the elite sphere of social-economic collapse. Anyway, back to Kilauea. You might be wondering why and how an approaching system of planets could trigger a volcano here on Earth. Well, the answer is simple. Every object has gravity, and something as big as 10 Earth can very well shake the planet before it is even possible. We have already seen its effect via the increase in the Earth's wobble, evident in the changes in the sun's and moon positions. This has been observed by farmers and people living near the poles for years now. Watching the sky is an important part of their job, and they are experienced, and therefore it is likely not an illusion. The result of this wobble, seismic and volcanic anomaly, Kilauea erupted for consecutively 3 months, with the first explosion on the 4th of May. A 150-foot high lava fountain shooting up from the lower east rim. A magnitude 5 earthquake immediately hit and the rift collapsed. Earthquakes became the new norm in Hawaii during the past 3 months, as there are many days where 250 earthquakes hit, and the record being 800 earthquakes a day during July. Kilauea is only an example. Planet X approach is stirring up the Earth's core and waking up virtually every volcano on the planet. If you have been following our topics on volcanoes, you would know that 40 of them are currently aggressively active, and the majority of the rest is having at least some kind of activities like fissures or gas flow. Virtually, the entire rings of fire is roaring back into life, including the supervolcano Yellowstone, who is Russian, could kill immediately 87,000 people and render 7 million square miles of sea and land inhabitable. It is really a dire future for us because a 100-foot fissure cracked up in Grand Teton National Park, and even though this crack is 60 miles from ground zero of Yellowstone, it sits directly above the system of Yellowstone magma chambers. Move higher into the sky and we'll find tons of strange phenomena as well. The media, of course, will tell you that all these happenings are part of nature, but in fact they are abnormally. Why? Because events like sundogs or red skies are supposed to be rare occurring, but the dramatic increase in the frequency signal that something weird is going up there. Scientific balloons in California atmosphere has measured higher than usual cosmic radiation. There have also been a rise in energy distribution across the solar system and a rise in the luminosity of the Moon and Venus. Now we all know that the Moon and Venus do not radiate light. They reflect the Sun's light. And since the Sun's luminosity is not increasing, there must be another source of light approaching. Now, I know I said that Planet X is a system of planets, not a star, so it cannot radiate light. But it can reflect the Sun's light into the Moon and Venus, thus enhance the amount of light that these two cosmic bodies reflect. Also, like I have said before, the phenomenon of red and orange skies is becoming more and more frequent. If you guys remember a few videos back, we have this interview with a scientist who used to work with the Hubble telescope, and he saw the inbound system of Planet X with debris fields and Planet X itself radiating crimson red lights of iron oxide. As the system approaches us, clouds of red iron oxide particles are charged into the inner field of the solar system and then entering the atmosphere of the Earth. Of course, I'm not denying that in many parts red skies are because of lights from wildfire. What I'm talking about is the other case of reddish sky and orangish clouds, which are taking place on a more and more frequent basis. Another case is orange snow, which were reported in March this year across a number of countries in Northern Europe. According to the authorities as well as the media, the official cause of this event was sand and dust carried by the winds all the way from the north of Sahara Desert. According to them, such happening is completely normal and natural. NASA even published several satellite images showing the cause of these red sand. That is pretty convincing. The same reason was used to explain the red sky in London in 2017. The only odd thing here is that the few Russian weather and environmental agencies reported a large deposit of iron oxide from the upper atmosphere. There is something very fishy here. Oh, and by fishy I also kind of mean it literally, because during the London red sky in 2017, many people reported that they smelled something foul. Something like that of the smell of rotten eggs. Officials said that this is only normal tropical smell. But do you know what smells like rotten eggs? Well, iron oxide. The whole point there is that the elites will always say things to make sure that we don't know about the imminent doom, for ease of controls as well as protection of the group interests, as they secretly prepare ghost city and underground facilities all over the world in anticipation of something cataclysmic. There are even sources saying that there is an entire city underneath the Denver airport. Powerful storms that used to appear once in a lifetime are now becoming an annual occurrence. 2 weeks before Kilauea erupted, on the 14th and 15th of April this year, Hawaii were hit with a torrential downpour. Biggest one in Hawaii recorded in history, with 50 inches of rain in only 24 hours. Scientists call this phenomenon rain bomb. Basically, it's a burst of downpour which happens when a cool heavy column of air sinks suddenly in the middle of a storm. This downpour pulls the water droplets down with tremendous force. The effects of climate change have caused the upper atmosphere to warm to the degree that it holds much more moisture, which builds up until it meets cold, dry air. creating a massive and unstable system. As a result of the Hawaiian rainbow, the natural reserve and the botanical gardens of Hanalei valleys were hit the hardest. These places were shut down and the consequences were closely monitored because these regions are home to species of plants and animals that are found nowhere else on the planet. In March, Europe experienced a horrible cold which was dubbed the Beast from the East. The deep freeze is nowhere near normal because March is normally spring in Europe already. Then, only 2 months later, the continent temperature records are shattered as heat wave rose the land, setting wildfires burning even inside the Arctic Circle. Southern Europe reached as high as almost 50 degrees Celsius, while the western part reached over 40. Things are even worse, as every single place in the northern hemisphere faced the same situation. Canada and the United States reaches more than 40 degrees, and Japan and Korea are no better. Things is extremely bad for Japan, as just a few weeks ago, it experienced a historical flood that killed more than 200 people, and now 22,000 are sent to hospital because of heat stroke. In Hanoi, Vietnam, the temperature near the concrete roads at noon reaches 60 degrees, high enough to melt wax. And as Planet X gets closer, all these man-made climate change will be much worse. Temperature will surge and fall, and there might be no way to predict when and how much things will change, and how big the indications will be for us living on the planet. One thing for sure is that most of our civilizations might be wiped out before Planet X is here, if it was to trigger Yellowstone. Imagine a nuclear winter, an acid rain bomb, and sudden heat wave and global warming. That is definitely the recipe for disaster. A bit of references, but if you guys watch the movie Geostorm, you will understand what I'm saying. Burning sun rays and bleachers will happen simultaneously. The only difference is that in the movies, these things were caused by a human invention and could be stopped, but in reality, what on earth can stop the trajectory of a planet 10 times bigger than the Earth? Not to mention